Okay, hi guys. This is stock valuation number 6 risk premium homework. And here I'd like to calculate risk premium for a certain stock. Here we have a Excel sheet. I don't know how much you are familiar with Microsoft Excel, but only we need is a stock price data samples. Here, I prepare Toyota Motors stock price, which is a monthly basis from January 17 to August 2019. There are 25 samples, meaning we have 2-year stock price samples, right? And of course, 2-year sample might be too short. In practical way, maybe we need more than 3 or 4 years data. This is a monthly basis, but you can do the same thing by using annual data or even daily data. Okay, and once you get samples of stock price time series like this, what do we do next? What we're gonna do next? So we do calculate growth rate on a continuous compound basis. Here, first growth rate would be calculated like this. Okay, Ln function. By this, we can get continuous compound of monthly growth rate. Ln B3 over B2, right? And first growth rate calculated like this. Result would be 0.8, negative number. And then we do same thing for the rest, like this. Okay. So these are the monthly growth rate of Toyota Motor stock price. Okay. So we get 25 samples of growth rate. C3 from C3 to C27, right? C3 to C27. Okay, C27 right here. So 25 samples. In Excel sheet, we can easily count by using function of counter here. Counter function just calculates the cell numbers. Okay, so we have 25 growth rates, and then what we do next to calculate risk premium. Risk premium, you might recall, it's 1/3 of standard deviation. So next, we need to get standard deviation. But to get a standard deviation, we need to calculate variance first. Variance, sample variance first. So what's sample variance? It's we do next is sample variance is a distance, typical distance between the average growth rate and each of the growth rates. each of the growth rate and average growth rate. There's some difference, right? For example, what we'll do next is to calculate the average. Average would be 0.34%. Why did we calculate this? How did we calculate this? Is just using average function of Excel, average from C3 to C27, right? And this is monthly average. And you might notice this stock price monthly average is positive number. Then if you annualize this, how do you annualize this? You just multiply by 12. Right? 12 months would be 1 year. So 0.34% times 12 would be 44.1%, 4.1, right? Like this. Let me calculate. 0.34 times 12, 4.1%. But we just use this average of 0.34 and calculate difference between each growth rate here and average here. The result would be D column. So D column, look at D3 cell. The result minus 1.2. Why it's minus 1.2? Because it's the difference between 0.8 negative and positive 0.34. The distance is negative minus 1.2%, right? So this minus this minus this would be this, okay? So we calculate the rest like these. And what do we do next? What should we do next? Remember how to get variance. We just squared over the difference because we need a typical distance between the average and each growth rate. Negative number, if we add up, it's crossing out. So what we want would be the distance. So we squared first. Squared means, for example, E3 cell here, result is 0.01%. Is the result of this times this, D3 cell times D3 cell, which is negative 1.2 times negative 1.2. Okay, would be 0.01%. So squared things are here in E columns, right? And what should we do next to get a variance? Variance is we sum up all these squared things, squared difference, and then result will be here. I4 cells, 5.12%. And here, sum of E3 to E27. So we use a sum function, right? We sum up the square difference between growth rate and the average. And to get a sample variance, we need to be very careful because this is tricky part. We do not divide 5.12 over the sum by 25. Instead, we divide by 24, because degree of freedom is not at 25, it's 25 minus 1, which is 24. So we divide this sum of E column 5.12% by 24. So result would be 24. 24 means 25 minus 1 degree of freedom of this series. So 0.21 is sample variance on a monthly basis, right? And Excel function is very convenient. We can get at once sample variance by using var.s function. var.s function like this here. var.s, okay, var.s C3 to C25. The target is growth rate of C columns, right? C columns here. Okay. You can put into this function var.s, and you immediately get the result of 0.21. It's very easy. And how to analyze this sample variance? So variance we just analyze by multiplying 12, right? var.s times 12 would be sample variance of annual number, 2.56%, right? This is monthly, so we need to analyze by multiplying 12, okay? And this is sample variance of annualized number, 2.5%. We get finally standard deviation sample basis. So how do we get standard deviation on a sample basis? It's just a square root of variance, right? So we get a variance and then we square root this. So result of Toyota Motors stock price, growth rates, analyzed sample standard deviation is 16%. And finally, we get the risk premium by divided by 3. Standard deviation divided by 3 would be risk premium. So risk premium is 1/3 of standard deviations on an annualized base. Okay? And we have alternative. So in Excel function, we have very convenient functions called stodev.s. So how should we calculate? How should we use this function? stodev.s. stdev.s. So you just put your growth rates, 25 growth rate here from C3 to C27, like this, okay, like this. And calculate monthly standard deviation on a sample basis, it's 4.6. And it is a little bit tricky, but how you can get annual standard deviation instead of monthly standard deviation? You just multiply by 12, square root of 12, right? Square root of 12 times would be the annualized standard deviation. So coincidentally, these are the same. Of course, they are the same. They need to be the same. So risk premium by this calculation also 5.3, because annual standard deviations times 1/3 or divided by 3 would be risk premium of this stock, 5.3%. So this is homework for stock valuation number 6, risk premium. Thank you. Bye. See you soon.